It was a sunny day, the day before the graduation ceremony from high school, but without any meaning or warning, he fell out of consciousness, leaving his body, and fell into deep darkness. But soon, he went to hell. And there was no limit to his panic, because there were creepy monsters devouring each other in front of him. This place is meaningless, it is soaked in blood. But why did he end up here? This thought did not give him peace. 10 days had passed at such a pace, he was insanely hungry. There was no day or night in this place, there was not even sunlight, and now he found meat. All he could eat was the rotting meat left by the monsters. He ate with effort, because it tasted just awful, but he needs to eat it, otherwise he will die. To survive, he had to adapt to this cruel place, and one day when he was carelessly eating meat, he was attacked by a huge monster. But he did not lose his head and threw the nearest stones at him, and in order to survive, he had to fight. After that, tears poured out of his eyes, because the guy missed his family very much. On the 39th day, in order to survive, he had to give up humanity, and in desperation, the kid decided to kill all the monsters. On the 51st day, he arranged a shelter for himself in the skeleton of the deceased monster, where the guy lit a fire and continued to gain strength. When suddenly a strange sign appeared in front of him, which said that he had raised the level to the 3rd, the guy had seen this for the first time and most likely he had already gone crazy, or not? With these thoughts, he clicked on the system screen and accepted the promotion. Since that moment, 7 years have already passed, his current level is 27th, he was killing hellish creatures alone without hindrance. Even at that moment these monsters were like worms, because he killed them with one blow. It was the 24th year since he found himself in this crazy place. The guy managed to make himself a sword that he received from a steel knight, and with the help of this weapon he calmly demolished the heads of these monsters. It was the 51st year, the boy himself turned into a monster and beheaded a pathetic incarnation. On the 79th year and 365 days this year, he is finally ready to meet the Demon King, because this bastard dragged him to hell. The kid can't wait to blow his skull off. It was a fierce battle, but the guy did not spare his enemies, and soon he came across the gatekeeper of the Demon King. He promised to cut off the kid's limbs and throw him to feed wild animals, but these were just his dreams. And feeling the taste of possible defeat, the demon began to fight seriously. He threw the boy away and advised him to order a place in the cemetery. But the guy was not confused by these arrogant words and he rushed into the face of danger. Then he stripped the monster of both hands and jumped back to the side. A fiery shard appeared in the air. He is the boy's assistant and strongly recommends him to finish off this monster right away, because he is a serious opponent. The demon himself was very angry, because how did this arrogant boy dare to challenge the gatekeeper himself? Did he really lose his fear? And while the demon was shaking the air, this same kid punched through the monster. And the reason for such a cruel act was due to the fact that the demon was too noisy. The monster could not believe his eyes, because it is impossible, and after these words he fell dead. Now that the black-haired man has killed the keeper of the gate, the shard is interested in what the guy is going to do next, because this act must have greatly angered the Demon King. 80 years have passed since he went to hell. During this time he has fought many monsters to survive. Everyone has different reasons and stories for which they fell into this terrible place. But the guy has a question: why did he end up in this place, and why did the Demon King bring him here? That's what he's going to personally learn from the most powerful demon. At the same time, the shard begins to doubt the intelligence of the guy, because wasn't it possible to just ask politely? Flying Skull advises not to do anything stupid, but just get down on your knees and ask for forgiveness from the Demon King. But the boy does not agree with this plan, because the price should be paid for being forcibly dragged here and made to suffer. Then the kid raises his sword and rushes to fight. But instead of the Demon King, he saw a drip and then he was thrown into a sweat. The pale guy does not understand what is happening. Hospital? The boy has not dreamed of Earth for quite a long time, about 30 years, but why the hospital? He realizes that he can't move, it's a waste of lucid sleep. At this moment, a tray of drinks falls in the room. It was dropped by a woman standing in front of the bed. With tears in her eyes, she rushed to her boy. But the guy doesn't like this dream, it's too childish, and now he wants to wake up as soon as possible. But wait, if this is a dream, then why does the guy feel like everything is real? Why? At this moment, he remembers what happened. The exhausted guy was actually able to kill the Demon King. During the battle, the cowardly demon tried to deceive him, but apparently it didn't work out. The shard is surprised that the black-haired man was actually able to kill the demon, but what is he now? He became the absolute ruler of these lands. Sighing heavily, the guy turns around and sees in front of him a table of the system that invites him to return home. But he himself does not know if he wants to return back to Earth after 80 years. While the boy is puzzled by a difficult choice, the shard flies nearby and asks about this land, but these words do not reach the consciousness of the black-haired guy. He prayed every day to escape from this cursed place, so there is no reason to worry, and he presses this cherished key, after which a bright light illuminates his face. When he wakes up, he sees the doctor shining a flashlight in his eyes. The guy is addressed by his name. His name is Han Daesung. He does not believe that this is really happening. The doctor warns that it will be difficult for the boy to move at first, since he has been in a vegetative state for a very long time, but he is in a hurry to calm his relative, because if the boy continues to receive rehabilitation treatment, he will feel much better. The girl with tears on her cheeks sincerely thanks the doctor, because the guy woke up thanks to the treatment provided. At this moment, the black-haired guy lying on the bed screamed furiously. The doctor is trying to calm Han Daesung, but he does not hear him. The kid does not understand when he moved into reality when he received a notification from the system or just now. The patients lying nearby were frightened by this strange behavior of the guy. The doctor is still trying to calm the patient down, but he shouts that no one should approach him. But without following his warning, the doctor was bitten. Grabbing the doctor with his teeth, the guy wanted to know what was done with his body. Magic, or it's a paralyzing poison. Why can't he move? It must be all a dream, just a terrible nightmare, the boy thinks. At this moment, a man in a bathrobe manages to stick his hand out of the kid's mouth, but it doesn't end there. The guy falls out of bed and starts yelling at the top of his lungs, because he somehow lived before 80 years of struggle and suffering, and now, after all he's been through, is he really just going to die? Enraged, he declares that he will never die. The guy is not going to give up. Even when the kid was dying in the lifeless land of hell, he begged and begged heaven to let him come back. At this moment, a couple more strong men burst into the room in order to calm the patient. They grab the exhausted boy by the hands, but he is not going to give up and orders them to let him go, otherwise he will kill everyone present. The guy still can't believe that he woke up in such a terrible body. But in a fit of anger, something else attracted his attention, and then the rage in his face was replaced not by concern. In the window he saw yellow flashes of thunder and lightning in the clouds. It's a hellish wormhole, but what has she forgotten here? They put him on a cot and the guy started to resist again, but soon they give him an injection and inject a sedative, and with the words that he will kill everyone, he loses consciousness. Breaking news: today at 9 o'clock in the morning over Songpaku, in Seoul, the opening of a mysterious gate took place. Fortunately, a team of hunters was quickly sent to the scene of the incident, and they took control of the nearest neighborhood. Currently, the hunters' mission is almost completed. In order to clear the area, the man reports that it may take about 1 hour. Then the guy in the office demands that he be immediately informed of the completion of the mission. He promises to take care of the rest himself. The hunter accepted the order of the head and hung up. The latest news was broadcast on TV in the ward. It said that thanks to the prompt response of the hunter team, the consequences of opening the gates were quickly eliminated, and then the gates themselves were closed. In a half-asleep state, the black-haired man listened to the news and did not understand what was going on. Why did some hunters stumble into a dangerous wormhole? At this moment, an unknown person enters the ward. The boy in the jacket is surprised that his friend has really woken up, but the current ruler of hell does not recognize the guy and asks who he is. But soon he recognizes an unknown man, his old friend Chang-ho. Yes, that's right, it's really him. His friend is happy that the black-haired man finally woke up after a long 10 years, after he lost consciousness. For 10 whole years, he lay unconscious in this world. Then on the day of graduation from high school, he was full of energy. But suddenly, for no reason, he fell, after which he lay in a hospital bed for about 10 years. Thank God, the guy is glad that everything is exactly like that, because while he was in hell, it seemed to him that all 80 years had passed, but in reality it was not so. A friend informs the boy that while he was unconscious, his mother worked very hard. Because of hospital reasons, she had to get 2 jobs, but that's for later. Now the most important thing is for the black-haired man to recover as soon as possible and return to his former form. And also about work, he cannot worry, because Chang-ho left him a free place. The kid thanks his friend, even though he is not very happy with what he heard. Soon, Mom rolls her son out for a walk, saying that the weather is gorgeous today, but his thoughts are occupied with something else entirely, because in hell he fought for a chance to survive and return to his body, but in reality here he has to take responsibility for his family and help her, despite the fact that he got up on his own it can't. And this disadvantage can bring him a lot of trouble, because he can become a heavy burden for his family. There is no less cruelty in this reality than in the real hell. At this moment, his mother stops and turns pale before her eyes. Their way was blocked by bandits. They have been looking for this aunt for a long time and could not get through to her in any way. It began to bother them a little. Is she really not going to give the money she borrowed? But it won't work with them. The girl asks for forgiveness and promises to return every penny by the next month, but the guys are tired of hearing these pathetic excuses. At the same time, the woman approaches the bully and insistently promises that this time her words are true. If she is given a little time, she will really repay them what they owe. But the man was even more upset by this behavior. He was enraged that such a brat was touching him with his hands and threw the defenseless girl away. Han Daesung watched this spectacle intently. The big guy pokes his finger at the loser and explains to her that when someone else's money is borrowed, it is necessary to return it on time. They're not going to talk nice to her this time. The helpless mother started crying and asked them not to do this in front of the child. She really promises to return the money next month and asks the gentleman to let them go. But the man is not going to tolerate empty promises anymore. He has already gone for the second year. The bully does not understand how she herself is not ashamed in front of the child. With these conclusions, he strikes her in the face. Han Daesung could not stand this mockery, and sitting on a wheelchair called these damn bastards to him. The hooligans did not hear the squeak of a small mutt and asked to repeat it, but the boy happily fulfills their request. The mother tries to stop her son, but he was already grabbed by the collar and lifted off the ground. The mother in tears asks Daesung to apologize and tries to justify him in the face of the bandits, because the boy is just a patient. But despite all the mother's attempts to prevent bloodshed, the exhausted boy continues to insult the vile insects in his sight. Bugai realized that the kid was clearly in trouble with his head, since he continues to climb into trouble. But still Moltz's words offended him greatly, and he decides to show which of them is a real insect. After that, the black-haired man goes flying, but it doesn't end there, because according to the man, insects need to be crushed, and he begins to trample on the defenseless young man. While Han Daesung is being beaten, he reproaches himself for the fact that his body is in such a deplorable state, because if not for this. The tearful girl tries to stop what is happening, but to no avail. The man continues to kick the boy. He demands that he call him again if he is not scared. The kid keeps calling him names in his mind, because if they were in hell right now, there would be nothing left of the man for a long time. At this moment, a long-forgotten system screen appears in front of the black-haired man. She offers him to take part in a divine quest, and she also warns that in case of refusal, the reward will not be received. The boy's eyes lit up with hope. He no longer paid attention to everything that was happening. He was only interested in the divine quest. With the window of choice suddenly appearing, his doubts were short-lived, because these windows were the only thing that helped him survive in hell for all 8 and 6 years. The quest was accepted. He did not immediately understand what was happening. For some reason everything froze, namely time. It stopped. The task he accepted is called Body Restoration. The difficulty level of this quest is the lowest. All he needs to do is get to the marked destination in 1 hour. As a reward he will be given a medicine to restore the perfect state, as well as 10% to health. The guy was very surprised. Can his body really be returned to its previous state? A red marker appeared in front of him, notifying him that he should overcome 10 meters. The black-haired man still can't believe his eyes. It turns out if he gets to that place he will return himself? Smiling, the kid said that he would get there no matter what it cost him. Even if he crawled, the main thing was that he would be returned to his former state. Through a stream of sweat, the guy continued to crawl with all his might. It's hard for him to believe that the one who conquered everyone in hell ate how to cope with such a trifle. There are about 18 minutes left before the end of the task, but at this speed he will never be able to get there on time, and one person will not get through it, so Han Daesung decided to think rationally. If we take into account that the system cannot issue a mission that cannot be completed, in this case everything is exactly the same, there must be some solution. After carefully reading the goal, namely to get to the destination, he realized that there was not a word that he needed to get there, which means that you can get to the destination in any way. After looking around, he remembered about his wheelchair and notices that it's pretty stupid that he realized it just now. Somehow climbing onto a wheelchair, he did not give up and began to pick up speed. Soon he manages to get to the designated place in the last seconds. All out of breath after this quest, he receives a small bottle of medicine, and the system also provided a little information about a small bottle. This liquid is a multifunctional medicine for restoring and improving the current state of a perfect being. The kid drinks the contents of the bottle without hesitation and immediately notices changes in his body. All the pain has disappeared, and the strength has returned to this body. Those present did not understand what had happened. The young man who had just been lying at the feet of the bully disappeared. Soon, law enforcement agencies arrived at the scene of the showdown and got involved in the conflict. At the same time, a terrified mother rushed to her son. The big guy couldn't understand how the kid managed to be in that place. But his friend offers to get out of here as soon as possible, and they leave this place. But Han Daesung remembered them and is not going to forgive their rudeness. Soon night fell. The boy continued to lie in his ward, but he was in no hurry to sleep. The black-haired man still could not understand how that window with the choice turned out to be in front of him. After the incident, he tried several times to call the system again, but all to no avail. He tries to call the window again, but nothing happens. Then Han Daesung decides to completely restore his body as soon as possible, before these scumbags come again. And for that, he needs another quest. At this moment, a message appears out of nowhere that the Pantheon is expecting a visit of perfection, and at the same moment the weakened boy finds himself in an unknown space for him. At first it seemed to him that this was a dream, but soon he saw the system window again. It said that from that moment the guy was given the opportunity to speed up his implementation. In order to return his perfect body as soon as possible, he will have to complete tasks, and the system wishes him good luck on this. Then he decides to proceed with the implementation. The second task is that Han Daesung needs to destroy these objects. The difficulty level of this task is average, and it is not limited in time. As a reward he will be given a 30% realization. The previously mentioned object appeared in front of the guy and concentrating, the Lord of Hell easily shatters the miserable bag. Now he has a third task in front of him. This time his task is to run 10 kilometers. The difficulty level is the highest, and he has 3 hours for all this. As a reward, he will receive a tonic, for the perfection of the average value of the realization, namely 5% of it. At the same time, the black-haired boy began a difficult workout, and soon he successfully performs this task. Already the fifth task was to do 1,000 push-ups in 2 hours, and soon the kid copes with this test. His current realization is 55%, but this is clearly not enough for him. Han Daesung does not understand the heavens are playing tricks there. He has done so much, and in total he received only half, and besides, they give a miserable tonic as a reward. He demands a normal task, otherwise he's tired of shaking the air for nothing. At this moment, he climbs the 10th test. He will have to fight with a crying demon. A pillar of fierce energy appeared on the training ground and a well-known monster appeared in front of the boy. Once in hell he almost died at the hands of this monster, but now the black-haired man is sincerely glad to see him here. A huge monster without hesitation rushed at the boy and struck him the first blow. Besides, with great difficulty managed to block the first blow. At this rate he will obviously die, and realizing that defense is not the best strategy, the guy jumps and decides to strike back at the monster, but the monster easily presses the guy into the ground. The wounded Lord of Hell spits blood. He realizes what a pitiful situation he is in, because the fact that he lost his balance because of some crying demon is humiliating. The monster continues to inflict a series of attacks, but Han Daesung dodges each one without any problems. But soon he is caught by a huge demon and being trapped in a deadly trap. The kid remembered how he killed this monster in hell. Smiling, he deprives the monster of a paw. The kid completely forgot that he could summon his sword. With him he rushed at the filthy monster and ordered him to go back to hell. After that, he woke up in his bunk and opened the window slightly. With this action he woke up his sleeping mother and rubbed her eyes. She was shocked, because her beloved son, Han Daesung, was standing in front of her.